Hey guys, welcome. Today, Coach Brazill and myself are going to go over some recruiting tips and hints to get the process started.
So today we're going to take you through what a typical initial recruiting meeting looks like with us. And in almost every initial recruiting meeting, we talk about a four-step process. The first step being creating a list of schools that you're interested in. The second, advising on how to create a highlight tape. The third being contacting coaches through email to make sure that we have coaches show up on the sidelines of tournaments and watch you play. And the fourth being making sure you're taking care of everything you can in the classroom and in your training so that when you get a coach to come watch you play live, that your grades are right and that you're ready to succeed on the field.
So, creating your list. We tell all our players that we want to start off with a list of 25 schools. 25 schools that interest you, that are in your wheelhouse for ability to play at, and schools that you could see yourself at for 4 years. Developing that list is fairly easy with a website that we use that is Connectlax. We will put the link in the description. But what this website does is it helps you narrow down your list with GPA, cost, what divisions you're looking at, and a bunch of other aspects that go into deciding what school is for you.
So one thing that we like to say to our players is that 22 hours a day, you don't have a helmet on, no matter what school you attend. So Connectlax is a really nice search engine that factors in all the demographics that go into a decision of picking a college, similar to any college advisor in your high school is going to have with their search engines, except for this only factors in the 450 lacrosse programs, give or take, throughout the country, the schools that have lacrosse programs. So Connectlax, you may be able to get a list of 30 schools off that. You may get a list of 15. Whatever you are able to generate, you want to then cross-reference that list with schools that have an athletic program that fits your athletic ability. So a lot of that's going to be in large part in meeting with Coach Smyth and myself, and we're going to guide you and say, hey, I think this is the right group of schools for you. This is kind of the parameters we see you could play in. These schools are reaches. These schools are safeties. These schools are schools that should be very interested in recruiting you where you can excel, but you're not going to overshoot where you should be playing or undershoot where you should be playing. That's going to be a lot of the give and take between the families and the coaching staff here at HGR. But from the Connectlax and from meeting with us and from some advisement there, we're going to have a list of about 20 schools. That's our first step in the recruiting process. Our second step in the recruiting process is going to be making a highlight video. The onus is going to be on the player. And the onus of the majority of the recruiting process is going to be on the player. We're going to talk about parental involvement and homegrown's involvement a lot throughout this, but the player really has to take ownership of this process and attack it. You're the one who's going to be playing college lacrosse, not your mom and dad. So you've got to go after all aspects of it, and that starts with creating a highlight tape. So everybody's got different platforms in which they've received their video, whether it be Crossover, Huddle, a home video camera, or you got it through one of the First Scout and
One of the professional companies.
one of the professional companies that films at tournaments. From there, you just got to get that onto some sort of film editing software on your home computer or laptop or Mac and edit it up. Once you've got that film and we're at about 5 minutes of highlights, then you can send it to us and we'll take a look at it and tell you if it needs cleaning up, if clips need to be removed, if we want to see more of some clips that you have, but expand upon them. We can help you really fine-tune that video, but the creation of it's going to have to come from you. The third step is going to be reaching out to these schools and letting them know that you're interested. In the initial email, it's going to be, hi, Coach so-and-so. My name is, I'm a junior or a sophomore or a senior at whatever high school, and here's my position and my summer tournament schedule and my highlight tape. Just real basics. How are you doing? I like you. Do you guys like me, more or less? From there, we're going to follow up with these coaches. We've got to be shameless self-promoters, and we want to be polite, squeaky wheels. We don't want to be in a coach's face so often and so frequently that we're irritating them, but we certainly don't want to be a once or twice emailer where maybe you got lost in the shuffle and chaos of the day. So after the initial email, you're going to follow up at the end of your spring season, probably in early June, maybe still in playoff time of your spring season, when the college season is wrapped up, and just, again, say, Coach, really interested in your program. I'm looking forward to playing in front of you or someone from your staff this summer. Here's my summer tournament schedule. And then before each one of those summer tournaments, you're just going to get that coach a breakdown of what field you play on and at what time. So that now we've gotten an email in this guy's inbox, and I would email the assistant coaches that are position specific to the position you play, in addition to the head coach. We've gotten in front of them 5 times by the end of the summer. So from your initial contact in maybe February through your last tournament update in mid-July, we've gotten 5 emails across. And hopefully we've put some coaches on the sidelines to come watch you play. At each tournament, there could be up to 150 coaches on the sidelines, which is great, but there's thousands of kids at these tournaments, and coaches aren't sitting down just looking to see who the best players are and go home and contact them. There's a number of reasons for this, but the biggest one is it's not the best bang for your buck. If I'm sitting down and I'm recruiting for Merrimack, I'm going to look at kids specifically that have reached out to me that I'm interested in through watching their highlight tape, and now I need to see them live. If I go out for the day and just recruit kids that I like, I'm going to run into GPAs that are above what our general admissions are, and kids may not be interested in our academics. I'm going to run into GPAs that are below what our general admissions are, and I may not be able to get them in. I'm going to run into kids that are committed elsewhere, or kids that are looking to get out of New England, or a number of factors. So my time is best spent looking at kids that are interested in me, and then deciding who can and can't play for us by watching them play live.
The one thing that I would add to that is at these tournaments, you're going to see these coaches walking around, right? So if you see a coach that you've emailed, go up to them and say hello, shake their hand, right? Have them put a face with the email now, and that's just going to help you succeed. And you'll get a feel for if you like the coach or not. Let's say you're emailing a school and it's your number 1 school, and all of a sudden you meet the coach and you're like, I don't know if I could play for him, right? That's a good thing to know up front, instead of you going to school and all of a sudden after your freshman year you're going, I don't like this coach, I can't play for him. That's something that you might be able to get out of the way early. It also shows that you're a young adult, you're a young man, and you can go introduce yourself and you're not scared.
I think one of the first things we talk about with all kids that sit down is their GPA. It's going to be one of the first questions that Coach Smyth and I ask is, how are your grades in school? How are you doing in school? That's really important because we want to keep as many doors open through this process as possible. And the worse your grades are, the worse your GPA is, the more doors you close right off the bat. Now, some kids are going to be A students, some kids are going to be B students, some kids are going to be C students. What's important is that you're hitting your best effort in the classroom to make sure you keep as many doors open as possible.
Grades are very important. Let's say you're a C+ student but an A+ lacrosse player, and a coach is recruiting you, and he's recruiting another kid that's a A+ lacrosse player but a B student. That coach is going to go for the A+ lacrosse player and B student over you because he knows that he's going to stay in school and be easier to get into school and maybe be able to get him more money. Doesn't matter that you're a great player. You got to make sure that you have the grades to back it up as well.
Parents, your job throughout this process is going to be to encourage and support your kid to take as much of this on as they're comfortable with, and maybe push them a little bit outside their comfort zone. A lot of this is going to be finding enough rejection to get the program that's interested in you and weed through some no's to find a yes. That's uncomfortable for a young kid. A lot of this is going to be putting yourself out there as a teenager to an adult saying, hey, I'm interested in your program. Are you interested in me? And that could be a scary question, especially if it has to happen over a phone call. But even an email can be intimidating to a kid. So you're gonna support them and push them forward. You're not going to interact with the coaches for a long time. We do, as college coaches, want to interact with the family and find out, who raised this kid that's going to be playing for us potentially, but not till we're pretty far down the road. Coach Smyth alluded to it a couple times. We want to know that this kid is driven and that this player is a mature young adult who can handle the rigors of college sports. And it's a big red flag when we have parents making a lot of, or any of, to tell you the truth, the contact with the coaches until coaches initiate contact with the family. And that's generally when we get you on campus and take you around for official or unofficial visit.
So this is pretty much the gist of your first meeting with us and what we're going to go over and, you know, kind of the start of the process. From after this first meeting and the rest of the process, we call it a very gray process because it's going to be different for every single person. Some kids are going to get recruited earlier than other kids. Some kids are going to get recruited later. Some kids are going to get replies back from coaches. Some kids aren't going to get any replies back at first. All right, so it's a very gray process. So, you know, it's going to be a different path for every single player that comes through the door, and that's why myself and Brian are here. We will help you with that path. You know, if you get a reply back from a coach and you don't know how to reply back to him, you know, let us know. We're here full time. Give us a call, send us an email. Hey, Coach Brazill or Smyth, how do I respond to this?
Or what does this mean? Or is this something I should attend?
Definitely.
You know, another thing that is pretty consistent is you will eventually go on tour of the campus with the coach, and sometimes that tour will be an official visit, which is an overnight visit. Sometimes it'll be an unofficial, which is just a day trip where you get a tour of the campus, watch practice, and head home. We can tell you what those are going to look like. Take some of the anxiety of not knowing out of it. These are the questions you're going to be asked most likely. This is how the process goes 90% of the time.
What you should wear.
What you should wear, yeah. What some questions you can ask. You know, are you expecting an offer and how to handle that? Did a coach timeline your offer? These are all things, just to give you an idea of how intricate it can get, that we can advise you on down the road. Right now, I think it's our initial meeting. It's time to get started, and that starts with creating a list, creating a highlight tape, getting an email out to those coaches, and making sure they're on the sidelines going and playing with us this summer or fall and having fun and doing well in the field.